Hello besties, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tori if you're new, and we are talking about all of the books that are coming out in 2025 that I literally cannot wait for. These are my most anticipated releases. We're gonna go by month and we're gonna go all the way through the entire year. I feel like I probably will do another one of these videos maybe like midway through the year because I feel like we continuously get new release announcements. So we're starting with January. Obviously, how wackadoodle would it have been if I started in December and worked our way back? We have two books I'm literally foaming at the mouth for, and that is Iron and Embers by Helen Schurer. This is a spin-off series from her first Legends of Thesmar series. We're following two characters that we did meet in those books, but we didn't see a lot of them, and I am so excited. I swiftly became enchanted with Helen Schurer's writing. I am her #1 fan. I'm obsessed with that woman, and I love Thea and Wilder. They put me into such a feral reader state. They're like top book couple for me. I'm prepared to be feral once again with Iron and Embers. I feel like that's all I can really say because first of all, if you haven't read anything by Helen Schurer, please read Slaying the Shadow Prince. Please read her Legends of Thesmar series. And then I think we all know about this book and are highly anticipating this book. I'm actually really scared for it, and that is Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. We are returning to Bezgaeth. We are returning to a lot of chaos after where the second book ended. We got a massive cliffhanger. I am scared. We're probably my favorite character in the series besides Tarn and Andarna. Onyx Storm. I don't know if I'll read this book right away when it comes out because I did that with Iron Flame and it doesn't work well for me. Like when I go into super hyped up books, like right when they come out, I tend to have a worse reading experience, and so I might wait to read this book until like February at some point. We'll see. Your girl is stressed. Then we have, in February, Rebel Witch. This is by Kristen Ciccarelli, the second book in the Crimson Moth series. We have a main character in the first book who moonlights as this vigilante that's freeing witches from captivity. Witches in the society are hunted down. They're seen as bad, evil, all of the above. During the day, she's a socialite that like gets all the tea. One of her like childhood friends is part of the like royal guard, for lack of a better word, and so he is the one that is hunting these witches, and she's keeping him very close so that she knows the tea, so that she can essentially sabotage him at every step and every turn. The suspense in this is so good. It's suspenseful. The romance in it is iconic. The dressmaking scene literally had me on the floor, and that's all in the first book. In this one, the stakes are supposed to be higher. We ended on a massive cliffhanger. This is also a duology, so this will be the finale book. On February 11th, we have a new book from Catherine Bakewell, who is another YA author that I fell in love with Flower Heart. Flower Heart is the cutest, like Studio Ghibli coded, so freaking cute. The romance is so sweet. If you like a like Margaret Rogerson type writing style or romance, I think that you would love Catherine Bakewell. I need more people to be screaming and shouting about her. Her new book coming out in February is called Where Shadows Bloom. This is a sapphic YA that has to do with a princess named Ophelia. Her kingdom, I don't know if it's plagued by or if this is just a normal occurrence, is plagued by shadow monsters, and our second character that we're following is named Lope, maybe Lope, is her knight and protects her from these monsters, and they're sapphic together, and I am going to scream from the top of my lungs about it. If you give me more knight romance, I'm not going to be okay. This is a 5-star prediction for me. I have nothing else to say. Moving into March, we have a very highly anticipated release in a series that is Oathbound by Tracy Deonn. We have been waiting, what, like 2 years for this book? That feels like a long time. I might be exaggerating. It feels like I've been waiting 5 years for this book. Legendborn is a YA fantasy series. There's a lot of YA on this list, but Legendborn is a King Arthur retelling. It's also dark academia. It has to do with secret societies. It takes place in North Carolina, I think at Chapel Hill University. Like, these are smarty pants. Our main character, when she first goes to college, is 17 because she gets early admittance because she's just too freaking smart. And the magic in this, also speaking of knights, like King Arthur's Round Table, hello. I need to reread, honestly, these books before this third one comes out, because even though this is a YA fantasy series, it is very in-depth, and I don't mean that to scare you off. Like, the writing is just exquisite. It's very layered. It's so captivating. Like, not just the magic system and the characters are believable, interesting, but the plot and the way that there's like a subplot of romance entangled in this and how that is playing out is so interesting. These are some of the most well-written books I have ever read. I do always have to buddy read these books because otherwise I'm going to be head underwater, not knowing what's going on. I need to have someone to like bounce ideas off of and be like, wait, what is this? Does this connect to this? What happens? It's one of these book series that if you love to hypothesize and just talk about all of like the nitty gritty little details, like we love to do with the Sarah J Maas, this is a series that you can do that with. And I cannot wait for Oathbound. Also on March 11th, we have Smoke and Scar. This is by Gretchen Powell Fox. This is a fantasy romance. I don't know if this is new adult. It might be. It has to do with a haunted warrior, and that captured me from the very beginning. There is an ancient grudge between humans and these magical people of Arcanus. We don't know if they're like fae or elvy. I really hope that they are. They've been at odds for centuries, and there is an arcane crucible, which is a legendary series of deadly trials that occurs every 25 years. And it offers a chance for peace. Our vengeful knight's name is Cedric, and it's his lifelong goal to conquer the crucible. The only problem is getting through the trials means he has to work with Elira, the very fae he blames for his parents' deaths. It sounds a little bit YA. I don't know, but I'm very intrigued. Give me Deadly Trials, and I'm gonna read it. April is the first pretty heavy release month for me that I'm super, super excited for. We have The Ashfire King by Chelsea Abdullah. This is the second book in the Sand Sea trilogy. It comes out on the 15th of April. This is a book that we have been waiting for like 3 years. I don't know what was happening with her publishing, because the first book when it came out was also traditionally published. It's set to be a trilogy. Hopefully we don't have to wait another like 4 years for the final book to come out, but the first book is called The Stardust Thief. If you like desert fantasies, I think you'll really like this. It's inspired by 1001 Nights. It also, to me, like really and truly gives Aladdin vibes, especially there's this market scene, there's flying carpets that I was just picturing Aladdin. And Luli Al-Nazari is a midnight merchant, a criminal who has a jinn bodyguard, and she deals with selling illegal magic. She saves the life of a cowardly prince, draws attention to herself, and then the father of this prince knows who she is, looks into her, knows what she does, and gives her an ultimatum that she needs to either be executed or go on a quest for an enchanted lamp. It has this very hint, like a subplot of romance. Chelsea Abdullah does put our characters through some stuff. The Ashfire King. Next up is Wild and Wrangled. This is by Lila Sage. I will read everything that Lila Sage puts out into the universe, anything that comes out of her brain. So Wild and Wrangled. I'm not going to say too much because I don't want to know too much about this. I'm very intrigued in the characters that we're following in this one. We have met them in the other books. If you have not read the Rebel Blue Ranch series, stop watching this video and go read them right now, okay? Okay. This is one of my most anticipated books of the entire whole year. It's called Boys with Sharp Teeth, and it is by Jenny Howell. It's pitched as We Were Liars meets The Raven Boys. It's a YA debut about dark revenge. It is dark academia. Our main character's name is Marin. They're at this boarding school. Seems like not too happy to be there. One day they find her cousin's body in the creek on school grounds, and our main character thinks they know exactly who did this. It's two boys that are the leader of like the social elite at the school. She intends to seek justice for her cousin's death. But her quest is quickly muddled by a confusing attraction to her new life at this prep school and to the two dysfunctional and depraved boys who somehow understand her better than anyone ever has. Literally shut up. Also, look at this cover. On April 8th, we have House of Blight. This is by Maxim M. Martineau. It's a romantic, new, gothic fantasy duology. It has gothic in it. Like, were y'all expecting anything else from me? I don't know. Our main character's name is Adira, and she has the power, she's called the Thread Mother. Okay, mother. She has a life-saving power that can cure disease, but every time she saves someone's life, it takes some of her own life. That's all I needed to know. But there is a powerful family called the Ferngloves. They're charming, beautiful, possess powerful magic, don't take no for an answer. Adira's brothers unexpectedly contract blight, and Oren, who's part of the Ferngloves family, offers to help, but obviously at a cost. Together at his estate, they'll research a cure while Oren slows their sickness and Adira hones her magic. But the other Ferngloves are suspicious of her power and may be more dangerous than expected. Next up, we have Enchantra by Kaylee Smith. This is the second book in the Wicked Games series. I think this is a duology. I'm pretty sure. The first book of this was Phantasma, which I absolutely loved. I loved the writing style in Phantasma so much. It was such a spicy, fun fantasy romance. People compared it to Caraval, but make it like adult and very, very spicy and much, much darker games because it has to do with like a haunted house, basically a haunted house of horrors, and two sisters that are trying to save each other, essentially. So I see the comparison. I love a headstrong main character. I love a girly pop who is not afraid of danger. I love a girl who just runs headfirst into bad decisions. I support women's rights, but I support women's wrongs, and I can't wait for Enchantra. Fearless by Lauren Roberts also comes out on April 8th. This is the finale book of the Powerless trilogy. I have been on a journey with these books. It's fantasy romance. It is YA. I don't know why there's been so many YA on this list. Apparently it's the year of YA. I don't know what to tell you. But this is the finale. The first book for me in the series was so mid. I was not about it. I was actually kind of upset about it because of the inspiration it pulled from some other books that I read. The second book had me so gagged. The second book, I think I gave it 5 stars. It ruined me. The cliffhanger that we get left on with these brothers and our main character, I literally cannot even deal with it. I'm so excited for Fearless. Y'all might know, if you were there for these vlogs, One Dark Window started my obsession with night romances. Raven is my baby boy. I love him. Rachel Gillig is hitting us with a new release in May called The Night and the Moth. It's the first book in the Stonewater Kingdom series. The cover for this is beautiful. I am unwell. When I saw that she posted this on her Instagram, screams like I was dying because I was so excited. It seems like it has, I don't want to say like a similar premise to One Dark Window, but our main character had a monster that was like living in her brain, an entity that wasn't her own internal voice. In this book, our main character's name is Sybil. Sybil is a diviner. She has dreams, but they're technically visions from 6 unearthly figures known as omens, and she can predict terrible things before they occur. Just as she and her sister diviners reach the end of their service, or they're going to be reaching the end of their service, a mysterious knight arrives. Rude, heretical, devilishly handsome. Would we expect anything less? No. The knight Roderick has no respect for Sybil's visions, but when Sybil's fellow diviners begin to vanish one by one, she has no choice but to seek out his help in finding them. For the world outside of the cathedral's cloister is wrought with peril. Okay, we're gonna jump to July. I'm so excited for all of these, but like especially this one by Elise Kova. It's called Arcana Academy, expected to be released on the 22nd of July. It says that it's adult and it's fantasy romance. Goodreads has been wrong before, so I'm literally only going off of what Goodreads is saying because all of her others have been like pretty YA. Our main character's name is Clara. She can read tarot cards and she lands herself in a false engagement with the headmaster of a mysterious academy. So it's giving dark academia. Also, the tarot card aspect is really reminding me of One Dark Window. So Clara has survived the underworld of the Eclipse City through thievery, luck, and a whole lot of illegal magic. She gets caught. She gets sentenced to a lifetime in prison for inking tarot cards a rare power reserved for practitioners at the elite Arcana Academy. The headmaster shows up and offers to help her escape for a price. I think his name is Khalees, believes that Clara is the perfect tool to help him steal a tarot card from the king and use it to recreate an all-powerful card long lost to time. I'm just saying, if we liked One Dark Window, except we wanted it to be dark academia, that's exactly what this sounds like. My camera battery died, so maybe slightly different angle. The other book that I have for July is called Tenderly I Am Devoured. This is by Lyndall Clipstone. I've never heard of this author before. It says perfect for fans of Saltburn, For the Wolf, and House of Hollow. It's like a gothic fantasy horror. This is one of those summaries for a book that you read it and you don't know anything. Our main character was expelled from a prestigious boarding school. She returns home in disgrace to her family, but she finds her family is also on the edge of financial ruin. So she accepts a marriage of convenience to Therian, the chthonic god worshipped by Lark, which is the place that she lives, isolated coastal hometown. Crazy that on the edge of financial ruin, you would turn to a god. No idea. Her betrothal goes horribly wrong. Lark begins to vanish from the mortal realm. Her only hope is to seek help from this like other family. There's a brother and sister who are like intrigued by her and decide to help her. I think that there's like a crazy, weird like love triangle between these three. And that's really all I know. I think it's gonna be weird. I think it's gonna be gothic. It almost reminds me of Hollow Heathens. Like it's just giving weird random town that's like isolated, that's like in the mortal world, but also it has some like supernatural aspects to it. It might not be good, but I want to read it just for the experience. In August, we have Yuli coming out. This is the next book in the Guardians of the Dawn series, which is by S.J. Jones. This is a YA fantasy series. If you like Sailor Moon, the anime, and you want like a book version of Sailor Moon, you have to read these books. So this is the third one in the series, and it is planned to be a 4-book series, I believe. Also in August on the 5th, we have A Theory of Dreaming by Ava Reed. This is the second book to A Study in Drowning. Now, when A Study in Drowning first came out, I heard that it was supposed to be a standalone book, and it was so good. Like if you like sort of academic, but I'm really hesitant to say dark academia because it really doesn't take place at a school. Like the majority of the book does not take place at a school. Folklore, dark, fae, kind of like mixed in a very creepy way. I think you would really, really enjoy A Study in Drowning. The writing style is beautiful. So now this is going to be the final book in the duology. Again, I think at first it was supposed to just be a standalone. Like I vividly remember hearing A Study in Drowning being pitched as a standalone book. I'm excited to get a continuation of their story because it did end on a very nebulous ending. You were kind of like, is that the end? Like there was no conclusion. It's one of those books where there was a conclusion to the plot. Like we definitely got some falling action, but the ending was very open. And so I'm excited, but I'm also nervous because I feel like when an author plans for something to be a standalone and then ends up continuing, sometimes it can fall a little bit flat. But I'm excited to get more of her writing style. I really enjoy Ava Reed, so we will continue on this journey with Effie and Preston. Also planned for August, on August 5th, we have The Fallen and the Kiss of Dusk by none other than Carissa Broadbent with a title like that. Songbird was a little bit mixed. The Fallen and the Kiss of Dusk, I will still be reading. I might just get it on like my Kindle, or I might just get it on Audible because I ended up listening to Songbird. Songbird fell a little flat for me. This is the second duology in the Crowns of Nyaxia series, which is going to be a set of 3 duologies. I don't know, the first one just didn't feel like Carissa Broadbent's writing, in my opinion, except for when it started to get to the romance in the second half of the book. That's what really sucked me back in, but the plot really, really fell flat for me. So I don't know, this might be like my deciding factor of whether or not I want to continue in the Crowns of Nyaxia series or not. This whole time, I have been the most interested in the gods' stories. They seem so much more epic, and we have Nyaxia, who is this dark goddess that's like present and overseeing in all of these stories. And she has a very tragic love story. I want her story. Like, I really, unless the last duet is Nyaxia's love story, I don't know if I'll read it. I don't know. In October, we're expected to have The Ballad of Falling Dragons by Sarah A. Parker coming out. This is the second book to the Moonfall series. The first one was When the Moon Hatched. One of my best books of 2024. I cannot wait to get more of this world and these characters. I'm so excited for the continued expansion of this story. I feel like we got, the first book was, and like it's the first book in a series, so obviously there's going to be setup, but I do feel like there was a lot of setup. The second half with where the romance was going, heartbreaking. Like, so good. The tension is so good, but I feel like we just skimmed the surface of the dragons in this story in book one, that like, I'm so excited to see what happens with the romance, but I'm also so excited to see what happens with the dragons. I just love a dragon fantasy story. And for a long time, I just felt like Fourth Wing had ruined me for any other dragon story in existence, but the Moonfall series has me in its clutches, and I can't wait to see what happens next with this. It's a very epic love story. It has to do with fated love as well. I feel like a lot of people talked about When the Moon Hatched last year, October. And then the last book that I have to speak about for 2025 so far is the next Quicksilver book. Previously, we hadn't had a date. If you look on Amazon, and I will try to include a picture up here, it says Fae and Alchemy #2. Expected to be released on November 18th of 2025. There's no official title yet for this book. Oh my gosh, I finished Quicksilver as my first book of 2025. I kind of started it right at the tail end of 2024. I finished it on January 3rd of 2025, a day that will go down in history in my brain and my heart, because this is my new favorite book of all time. Like, fantasy romance book, absolute favorite. Kingfisher is god tier to me. I can't wait for the second book. November 18th of 2025 is going to be my most anticipated day of the whole year. What day is that? If it's a work day, I'm literally taking it off. It's a Tuesday. You're not gonna catch this girl at work on the 18th of November of 2025. I'm taking the day off. I'm gonna be reading this book. I might actually take the 19th off as well. It's going to be an absolute celebration. So those are my most anticipated book releases of 2025. So if I missed any like massive big ones, please let me know in the comments down below, because I obviously need to add them to my list and fix my mistake. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next one very soon. Toodles!